I was thinking, and the biggest weak point of mankind might just be identity and image. Let me explain. We spend a lot of our lives trying to figure out who we are, or freaking out about the fact that we don't know who we are, right? On top of that, we take actions to fit in with our perception of what acceptance and goodness is. And even if we take things biblically, right? Adam and Eve, right? They were made in the image of God. But the first thing that Satan tries to do to tempt Eve is to question her likeness of God. He says that, if you eat of this fruit, you're not going to die, but instead you're going to open your eyes and you'll be like God. Now let's move forward just a little bit and talk about Cain. With Cain and Abel, when Cain was angry, right? God told him, if you knew what is right, will you not be accepted? And now I look to see what the Hebrew words used for right and accepted were in this passage here. The word used for right was yatab. Yatab means good, well, or pleasing. And the word for accepted was sith, which means exaltation or dignity. So if we reread that, we see, if you do what is good, well, or pleasing, will you not be exalted or have dignity? And if you don't do well, sin is crouching at the door, that its desire is to have you, but you must rule over it. Now that we can go into it, but let's move even forward down to Jesus. Isn't it interesting that when Jesus was fasting for 40 days and 40 nights in the desert and he was hungry, the first two attacks, not one, but two attacks of the devil was to say, if you are the Son of God, turn this stone into rock. If you are the Son of God, jump off this cliff. And the angels are going to pick you up and you won't strike a stone. And the devil was even quoting scripture saying, see, this is the truth about God, so you should just do this, you should do that. Isn't it interesting that the first two attacks were regarding around his identity as being the Son of God? And so it makes me think, why wouldn't the enemy try to use identity as a way to distract us? Why wouldn't he try to use identity and things of this world to force us or push us into placing our identity into our sexuality, force us into placing our identity into our intellect, into our achievements, into our work, into our passions? Why wouldn't he try to do that? If he even tried that for Jesus, like literally Jesus. And so then the question is, like, we have all these different things of the world that we could place our identity in. How do we free ourselves from that? See, that's when we bring it back to Jesus, because God sent his son to die on the cross, right? That we may die to our flesh with him, and the same spirit that rose him from the dead now lives inside of us. And so that spirit lives with us and testifies with our spirit that we are sons of God. And so it's crazy because, like, God, he knew this whole identity thing was an issue. So he was like, I'm going to give you the identity of my son to assume. And I'm going to tell you how it's going to happen. All you have to do is believe that I sent this person that you can believe in. And if you believe in him, you will have his spirit, the Holy Spirit that raised him from the dead. That spirit is in you. That's the spirit of God. And that spirit will testify with your spirit that you are the Son of God. And you can place your identity in that spirit instead of in the flesh. But that is just a thought. And so let me know what you guys think. What do you think is the biggest, weakness of mankind?